Okay, that is a little bit of a big crate. So, I mean, you can see, mercenary base, new tower. And I'm not gonna waste your time, let's just hop straight into the review. So this is like probably the biggest tower release they've ever done. This thing was advertised with a timer, they had this whole show, they teased this weeks in advance, and now it's finally here. And you may notice that I'm not, like, super energetic about this. Let's play Sky Islands here, and that is because I kind of know how this tower works. And so I'm going to teach you everything about this tower that you need to know. So, of course, you know, if it helps, you better like, subscribe, and use star code E. But out here in the start, I'm going to be playing Solo Fallen. Going to be using this specific loadout. And let's just get talking about this thing, okay? This tower is level 150, so that's higher than Pursuit. So this thing is supposed to be very strong. I mean, nobody's going to argue. Doesn't give you a lot of info here, but you have this little camp tower. And it's, of course, a spawner tower. Unlike most spawner towers, this is like Necromancer, so you need it further back in order for it to, like, actually have the troops that it spawns, be able to traverse down most of the map in order to make the most work out of the enemies. I should have upgraded that cowboy. Basically, what I'm saying is, if your mercenary base is here, no good. Because it'll spawn the troops here, and the troops are just gonna, you know. Anyways, I'm forced to use this specific loadout because Mercenary Base is not a high DPS tower. It was created with the intent of, like, rivaling Engineer and Accelerator in terms of its strength, but honestly, it comes off more as a support tower than anything. That is because later on in the levels, this thing actually gives a damage boost. We have not seen a damage boost in TDS since either John or I guess War Machine, but that's an admin tower. So yes, this thing does have an extremely unique feature. Now I'm probably just going to cut until I'm done with spamming these cowboys because everybody just is here to see how good this tower is. So I'll see you in a moment. So would you take a look here? We got a Leaking Shadow. This is a perfect opportunity to go back to, well, where I was saying, like here, put down a mercenary base, and look at this. We got a rifleman spawning in. This dude does 3 damage every 0.15 seconds, which translates to a ridiculous DPS. This DPS is like 20. And for a tower you're only paying $1,200 for it, that is ridiculous. Now I'm gonna get to level 3 cowboys here. This thing unfortunately has no hidden detection, but look at this. The timer runs out, and this is something pretty strange. Like, even though the timer ran out, my unit's not spawning. I'm assuming that is because there's a limit, so while the other one is alive, this one's not going to spawn in. But there you go, now this one's spawning in, and in fact, now if we upgrade it, it unlocks another queue here, so we can actually spawn 2 riflemen. And this one, in particular, is extremely good because it unlocks explosive experts. So, Grenadier, Mercenary, we definitely want to use these because from what I noticed, they're just way better than this rifleman. They do some absurd damage, and you'll get to see when they spawn in. I mean, it's going to take a while because I think the timers are broken, right? So, the stuff doesn't spawn when this timer says it's going to spawn. That's something they got to fix, but I'm only assuming that that's temporary. Why would that stay in the game? Which is kind of strange because I reported this bug during testing, but yeah, I'm not going to complain. Okay, so Grenadier here is actually kind of insane. This thing does 25 damage a shot. Unfortunately, his projectiles are really slow, which isn't great if you want to pull off a lot of damage on especially something that's moving fast. But this thing does have decent range, and look at that. We have 2 of them dealing 25 damage a shot. So that means we're doing 50 a shot. That's actually going to come in, like, really nice for these Fallens here. They also each have 45 HP, which is pretty strong. Here come out some more. And yeah, you can see now, they only come out where the mercenary base is. So if I place the mercenary base here, no, that's just a stupid idea. I would literally be losing them as soon as they spawn. There you go. I reached my limit of 12 cowboys, though, so I'm going to start getting some of them to double tap. Actually, probably want to DJ first. And by the way, I'm going to tell you some extremely important information for using these things, because you can't just go out and use them. Like, what the flip? Yeah, just, you got to be careful. But as I was saying, you can't just go out and use them on any map and be fine. It's not as versatile as, say, Accelerator, where in any late game situation, that's what you bring. This thing definitely has more specific use cases. So whether you don't have this tower or already have it and just want to know how to use it best, well, that is what I'm here to talk about. Firstly, of course, as I said, you definitely want a map that you can place the mercenary base at the back, and that spot is also not going to be trash for other towers. Because you must remember, as I said earlier, this thing, look, unlock 10% damage buff. So although these units on their own, like, I spent $4,000 to get these Grenadiers, and that's good and all, but I'm gonna be honest, I would rather just have like a few more of these cowboys. Even though I say that, that doesn't exactly mean mercenary base isn't worth using, but it's definitely harder to use. Okay, let me use my abilities. I don't want to be blabbering too much. I kind of want to, you know, make sense here. So let's get, I think, 3 level 4s. That should be more than enough damage. Yep, we're good. Oh, there you go. We have plenty of level 4 cowboys. We're going to be making money. Oh, and by the way, I was saying, you can't really use farm with this tower. And that's because it just doesn't really fit into a solo loadout. You need DJ for this thing because look at how small its range is. When you get a damage buff, you of course want it to see as many towers as possible. But if its range is this tiny, yeah, you can see there's an issue. So DJ is absolutely mandatory. So is another high DPS tower because this thing, it's not like Accelerator. It's not winning you the game. That being said, we're starting to struggle. Gotta upgrade on my cowboys. So yeah, you end up kind of being locked into the situation where you need a high DPS tower, you need DJ, you need the thing itself, and that leaves you with only 2 tower slots. I don't know what these 2 tower slots could be if not Cowboy and Commander, because that's just what completes the loadout. And this, to a certain degree, makes this tower really difficult to use. That being said, though, I gotta move this DJ now, because there's a tank in 2 rounds, and I have to defend back here, because I need the damage buff for my mercenary base. Before the tank comes out and you actually get to see the damage buff, though, let me add even more information. I just don't think this thing's good in solo, I'm gonna be honest with you. In solo, you're much better off using farm, gold pyro, something like that. By the way, let's sell the DJ actually and move it now. Gonna upgrade it to level 3, get the damage buff, and we also get some stronger stuff, I think, from it. Like, you can see the Grenadiers aren't strong right now, but after this they will be. So let's get golden minis, and then, of course, a commander. Gotta use the ability up here. And yes, now you can see these minis do have a damage buff, 10%. Now let's use the ability and see 10% damage buff minis plus a commander ability does do some pretty good DPS. Is it enough to kill the tank? I certainly hope so. And yeah, just barely. I had to get another commander. But yeah, again, here's the issue in this situation when it comes to solo. The tank would have died here if I was playing with farms. By the way, look at these stronger Grenadiers. They now do 50 damage and have 120 HP. Again, as I was saying, though, if I had my other loadout with, like, Pyro and Gold Mini and Farm, I would have had more money, because Farm makes more money. So, overall, the advice is use this tower in multiplayer. Because in multiplayer, this will go huge. A 20% damage buff, like, yeah, it may sound like it's just 20%, but that goes such a long way in multiplayer, you can't even comprehend. And it's good in multiplayer because you're not limited to so little tower slots. So you can feel free to buff your teammates' towers and not have to worry about losing the game. I'm gonna start maxing the cowboys up here. Sadly, can't be having 2 DJs, but we still need to be maximizing our earnings because this thing, it ain't cheap. Look, it has 6 levels. It's like the engineer. So if you're not farming really hard, you're not only not gonna afford your mercenary base, you're not even gonna afford the DPS that the mercenary base is supposed to buff. By the way, quick tip on golden cowboys, if anything is going past them, feel free to upgrade them. The only reason you want lower level cowboys is so they get more shots, but if, you know, all the shots they could be getting they already are, and stuff's leaking, you could just be making more money if you max them. Here comes Warden. Warden, I'm pretty sure, can just absolutely annihilate all your mercenary base units. There's of course ways to reduce the severity of that with stuff like Field Medic, which I will show pretty soon. In the meantime, though, look, I'm not using more of these mercenary bases because they're not that good. Like, I've spent $10,000, and these Grenadiers that are spawning, like, first of all, you gotta keep in mind, I'm on a really good map. There's a great turn at the start, so it gives these things plenty of time to build up their power. On most other maps, you don't have that luxury. And also, we're starting to struggle. Definitely gonna wanna expand my golden mini arsenal out here. Should be fine. Yeah, we're good. Let me actually get upgrading this mercenary base. So this one unlocks us field medics. Oh, and by the way, some of the upgrades claim that they make stuff stronger when they actually don't. That's just a bug. I'm pretty sure that happens on, let me check. This one. Oh, never mind. They fixed it. But when I was testing, like here, it would say, oh, that it improves your Grenadier, but in reality, it never did that, so you'd essentially just get your money scammed. Now we have 3 Grenadiers, though, and Field Medic. I'm going to set it to spawn Field Medic, of course, because we do want to see that. And let's just max this thing out. Honestly, let's get the 20% damage buff. Let's chain harder. Let's max this commander. I should have maxed the DJ too. Here we go. We should be doing some ridiculous damage because I not only have Fire rate boost. Okay, field medic is useless if there's no units on the track. There you go. We're currently attacking with full power because, well, commander and, yeah. I don't know why I'm at a loss of words there. Commander and this thing. Again, as I said, field medic's useless without other units. Hopefully, look, you see all the timers hit 0, but none of the stuff spawned. That's because the timers are inaccurate. So never be relying on that. Here comes the field medic again. And there you go. Look, we spawned 2 grenadiers. These things are doing 85 damage a shot, so we basically have a mortar at home. And this field medic's healing them. Now, what's kind of stupid is the fact that the field medic is up in front. That's literally counterintuitive because it's gonna die and then the stuff just stops receiving its heals. You can see though the splash damage is huge, and there you go. We now have another field medic. So this thing provides a shield, which I'm gonna be honest with you, is actually surprisingly effective. Like, it kept these 2 grenadiers alive when they got rammed by an arrow, which has 800 HP. And this thing works on all units. Oh, look at this. It actually stops if the other units in front of it stop. So you definitely need to be playing on a good map if you want this thing to actually shine. But let's see if this shield is effective against the tank. No, the tank just bowls it down. And it bowls that down. And, well, okay. I mean, it managed to tank the glitches. But ultimately, you want to use these riders, okay? These things are way stronger than everything else. Because look at this. 2,000 HP. This thing is ridiculous. Like, why is everything else here an option when you could have this guy? So here he goes. He stops. He does 30 DPS, so not much. That's because he acts as a wall. There you go. There come more riders. These things are much more powerful because you can actually have... Check this out. So let's put a mercenary base up here, even though I said that's a trash spot just to get damage buffs up there. And let's get another mercenary base, let's, like, right here. So you can see I have 3 mercenary bases. That's the placement limit. I think that's the placement limit in solos. I believe this is one of the only towers in the game that has a variable placement limit, so it has more in, like, duos. I mean, less. Why would it be more? That's literally OP. But yeah, this one I don't know, I guess I can set it to different stuff, just so you get to see. Yeah. Here's the rifleman. This dude is, he's got, like, what is that, 60, a little bit over 60 DPS, I think. Like, 70 on that guy. Fallen King's out, by the way. I gotta get some more of these. Also, the shield kind of prevents stuff from dying when the Fallen King comes. And I think Field Medic is invincible to all stomps and, like, Warden and Templar. But there you go. This is where the Mercenary base helps most. Because, of course, if I didn't have the Mercenary base spawning its riders or whatever, my defense wouldn't even notice. The Golden Minis are doing all the work. And so, being able to buff the Golden Minis is really the best part of the mercenary base. That's why it's so good in duos and above, because you're not limited to, like, I don't know, 3 towers. Oh, by the way, there's an ability that I didn't show with this thing, but let's just set, this one's 3 riders. Let's just deploy this thing. It's gonna deploy whatever troops you have equipped. So yeah, here come down 3 riders. You could plop down 3 riders at the back of the map and just kill anything with, like, under 6,000 HP. But just before we kill the Fallen King, main points are, of course, must use DJ for your mercenary base, must be playing on a good map, because otherwise, you know, you gotta place it at the front and they instantly die. Should play in multiplayer, just so you're not limited by the placement limit, and ultimately use Grenadiers, and then Riders. Overall, probably a high A tower, pretty good, and if you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and use StarCode E. Goodbye.